Let's go find some coffee. Colossal volcanoes, one of which is active. Man, those are packed with fruit. All the elements are here to make the ideal cup of coffee. I like it. Coffee Express. Una cappuccino? Be my first time flying over a volcano. This makes it to the top of the list. I never thought buying coffee could be so much fun. Yee, doggy.
For over 20 years, I've traveled the world searching for exceptional coffees. But among the greatest treasures I've discovered along the way are the incredible people, their fascinating cultures, and the most awe-inspiring landscapes you could possibly imagine. Now, I have the opportunity to show you a different side of the world through the lens of coffee. Oh, how I love Guatemala. Not only is this country gorgeous, but there's such a diverse selection of terrain, climate, and soil nutrients in the land here, which is one of the main reasons that Guatemalan coffees have such a tremendous range in flavor, aroma, and mouthfeel characteristics. Of the 37 volcanoes in this country, 3 are still currently active. The ash and sediment they spew out contribute to the unique coffee growing conditions. Located just south of Mexico, Guatemala was once home to an ancient Mayan civilization that dates back thousands of years. The country is known for its volcanoes and vast rainforests.
What's that?
Growing coffee isn't new here. It's been done since the 1850s. I'm on my way to a place that is renowned for producing some really beautiful coffees. I can honestly say I have never had anything take my breath away quite like Lake Atitlan. The view is truly captivating. Bordered by 3 volcanoes, this lake is the deepest in the whole country. And what better way to kick off my journey here than with a taste of the local coffee? It can be hit or miss to try and find good coffee in a new place, but in this case, I think I've found the perfect spot.
Plátano en un plato. Okay. Wow, I never knew a banana and a cappuccino could go so well together. This place is at the top of my list as far as must-see destinations. It should be in everyone's bucket list. I mean, there's really no excuse not to come and visit Guatemala.
There are no roads connecting the communities here, so the only direct way to travel from village to village is by boat. And experiencing the grandiosity of the volcanoes from the water is definitely an added bonus.
This whole thing is actually an old volcanic crater, and it's estimated to have erupted about 80,000 years ago, and some of the ash can be traced as going all the way back to Florida. There's actually an old town underneath as well. They call it the Atlantis of Guatemala.
There's a large population of descendants from the ancient Mayan civilizations here, and they're the ones that grow the coffee. Some of the best coffees are grown on the vertical slopes surrounding the lake because coffee plants flourish in places with great drainage.
The coffee is excellent. It's very unique. It's very characteristically different than Antigua. It's very soft, very chocolatey, very sweet and smooth.
Before heading to the lakeside village of Panachel, I can't resist taking some time to explore the coffee farms around the edge of the lake. It's amazing to think that inhabitants of ancient Mayan civilizations may have walked these same trails thousands of years ago. There's something so serendipitous about being in a new place. You never know what you're going to find. Case in point.
Azir, you whistling?
It looks like they made it here.
Okay. Very cool. Gosh, man, how do you not buy something like that? It's so cool, you know. And actually, it's pretty easy. It's like it looks like he made it with some kind of wood. I'm not sure if they're laughing at me or with me. Getting better at it, right? Thank you. Gracias.
Gracias, amigo.
All right, adios. Oh, look at that. So you rub the salt on there with the lime, right? And then the fun part, then you get to eat it. Oh, gracias.
I'm going to make the call right now and say that this is one of the best spots I've ever enjoyed a sunset cup of coffee.
And there she goes. Coming up, I've never gotten a coffee by horse, but there's a first time for everything. I like it. Coffee Express.
The next morning, I'm up bright and early to catch the chicken bus. These are old American school buses used to transport people, livestock, goods, pretty much everything. I'll be taking one of these buses to Antigua, the next stop on my coffee journey. Turns out the chicken bus isn't my only exciting method of transportation for the day. Here in Antigua, it's possible to rent your own horse. So I'm getting the opportunity to see the city from a unique perspective. Antigua was once the capital of Guatemala, and the gridded layout of the town was actually inspired by the Italian Renaissance. Over the years, Antigua has faced everything from earthquakes to eruptions to even civil uprisings. Through it all, this magnificent architecture still stands. But it's not just the history that makes this region special. Coffee from this area is thought to be some of the best in the country, if not the entire world. Complex, balanced, and highly distinguished, the beans from Antigua exude the sort of hallmark characteristics that have made Guatemala coffee so famous. And I can't wait for a taste.
So I'm thinking now, my friend Geronimo, it's time to go get a cup of coffee. I see coffee shop right over there, and I cannot resist. I've never gotten a coffee by horse, but there's a first time for everything. I like it. Coffee Express. It even has the little poles, like I can tie the horse up. Yeah. Geronimo, I'm gonna tie you up. And then when I get coffee, I have a good thing for you. You're gonna like. Buenos días. ¿Puedo comprar un cappuccino? He looks pretty happy over there. I think we got a good thing going, this horse and I. And guess what I have for you, Bob? An apple. You know, I love the spontaneity of travel. I get off on a chicken bus, and next thing I know, I'm feeding an apple and drinking coffee with my horse. Did you like that? Tell me that was not a good apple. That was a tasty apple, huh? All right, buddy. You know what? You're gonna help me live out a lifelong dream. You know what that dream is? Having a cappuccino riding you through the town. Cool? Okay, here we go.
I'm familiar with some of the farms from this area, but to find exactly what I'm looking for, I'll be calling on the help of a friend who knows this place inside and out.
I'm going to meet a good friend named Angel. He lives in Antigua. He had studied in the United States for 4 years. He's not a coffee guy. He's actually in charge of security coordination here, and he knows the area really well. I figure he's the perfect guide for a trip like this. Angel, how are you, man? How you been?
Very good.
Good seeing you.
Good to see you.
All right, me too, man. Excellent. I've had the best time exploring this city. It's so otherworldly here, you know?
Great, great.
You got some food going?
There's some tips too.
Wow, what is that? That's hot. You like
Real
that.
Antigua.
You like doing that to me, don't you?
Salt with the lime, and we spread it.
Here's a mission. I'm glad you were here, by the way, because I wouldn't want to do this without you, because I consider you a good friend and someone who also knows this area better than anyone. There's a farm that I already know about. I've tried their coffee in past years, but in coffee, they have a thing called micro lots, which is where they divide up certain portions of the farm, and you get a different character traits from the different portions. And it's actually pretty noticeable. And so what I like to do is try them out. When I go visit, I can see the terrain. I can get a sense of what we call the terroir, you know?
Yeah.
And all the things in the land that contribute to that coffee, you know? And of course, the Mayans who grow the coffee and harvest it and put all the hard work into it. And I'd love to pick their brains a little bit and just sort of learn how they do it, how they're, you know, what their techniques are.
Yeah. And actually, I have a special place, a special farm called Finca Santa Clara,
Yeah,
and they just won the Cup of Excellence. So let's go see it.
I like it. High altitude here, you know, it's like it makes sense. This is a huge farm. I mean, I know that, you know, you could take all the coffee from this farm and mix it together and it would be really good. But if I can find that small lot, that certain part of the hillside where it tastes really special, I will have won the prize that I'm looking for.
Yeah, I will find it.
This is Finca Santa Clara, and the Zelaya family has been growing coffee here for more than 100 years.
Bienvenidos a
Mucho
Santa
gusto.
Clara.
Mucho gusto.
Bienvenidos.
To find the most dynamic cherries, we need to head high into the hills, and I must say, I'm pretty psyched about this mode of transportation.
I like it, I like it, I like it, I'm feeling it. Practice reverse.
I hope so.
I'll keep it under 60. I've driven like, you know, 4 times I've driven these things, and I've only crashed like twice. So
Twice.
50% is pretty good odds, I'd say. You're in good hands. Man, those are packed with fruit.
When we arrive at the first micro lot, I'm given a test to see if I can tell which of the cherries are ripe and ready to pick.
These are the best ones, right here.
No está.
They're not.
They're not ready yet. It's all about timing, right?
Yeah, it's about timing.
That looks pretty.
Sí.
That looks ready.
Ya.
Okay, so what we're talking about here is really interesting, and it's one of the reasons why you have to come visit the farm and see what they're doing. So what he's doing is he's picking the cherries a lot darker, closer to purple, and very few farmers do that. Most farmers would say that this is just right. He says, no way, this is not ready yet. There's still more maturation to happen. It needs to get a little darker. Okay, so I do this a lot whenever I go to a coffee farm, and you could just tell a lot about the sweetness in the coffee from eating the cherries. Wow, really sweet. Really sweet, almost syrupy. We're off to a really good start here. I'm excited. Coming up, we heard the volcano just now erupt, and you could literally feel it underneath your feet.
This farm is already at almost 5,000 feet, and we keep on climbing. Vamos arriba.
This specific microlot starts right where the road is, and it goes up above the ridgeline. And that's a specific lot number, and it's separated from the other coffees. And this is the one that won them the award this year for the Cup of Excellence.
The coffee I want to find is growing at over 6,000 feet above sea level. We take the ATVs as far as we can, and then it's time to walk.
Guatemala keeps exceeding my expectations. And I mean, this farm is, I think it's literally might be the most beautiful farm I've ever been on in my entire life. Everywhere you look, just mind-blowing. And we heard the volcano just now erupt, but it was the largest eruption I've ever heard or felt, and you could literally feel it underneath your feet. Anhe told me it was one of the biggest ones he's heard and felt in a long time. Right there, right on this farm.
Y la vista que tiene.
All all the elements are here to make the ideal cup of coffee, and rarely do I see a farm with so many of the perfect components. This is a really good sign.
Ridiculous abundance of fertile soil aside, the shade here is intentionally engineered. Coffee plants love this soft ambient light.
Hey, I think this is my favorite lot so far. I like this one. I hope it tastes as good as it looks.
Over the years, I've developed my own vocabulary for communicating coffee profiles, and I generally refer to classic Antiguas as balance-driven coffees with an even-keeled structure of bright, fruit-like notes and deep, rich, chocolatey character. Harvests here only happen during the fall and winter, so when the time comes to pick cherries, it's all hands on deck.
It means work is finished, huh? Yeah.
A lot of collaboration is needed because there are a tremendous number of cherries that need to be picked in a very short period of time.
They're picking them so purple, which is so yum. I mean, this is gonna be a really sweet coffee.
Once the ripe cherries have been picked, they're put into these huge bags. Pickers here get paid relative to the bag's weight.
Want me to help? You just push it up like this? Oh man, he's so strong. Wow, I feel bad, like I should help him. How's he that strong? How's that possible? The Mayans are a very different culture. They think differently about many different things. They have superstitions that we don't have. They have a belief system that comes from a different perspective. So I feel like it's really important to try and understand them, because if you can understand them, it gives you closer access to what they're doing with the coffee. That's what I love about coffee, is it gets you closer to these cultures that normally you would have no connection with. But through coffee, we have a connection. I have a connection with her and her family through coffee. I love that.
The next step is to weigh the cherries before loading them onto the trucks for processing. On this farm, it takes around 5 pounds of cherries to make 1 pound of unroasted green beans. It's extremely rare to see such a high proportion of perfectly red cherries, and it shows an impressive attention to detail among the harvesters. This is called the wet processing mill, where coffee is washed. The cherry flesh is ripped off the bean and the pulp is removed. The washing process helps accentuate the bright, sweet fruit notes on the coffee, leaving a crisper, cleaner finish when roasted light.
Coming up, so we just cupped the coffees and now we get to flip the cards over. The big moment.
One of the things I love the most about coffee is the way it stimulates your senses. Before experiencing that first slurp, you need to take in all of the different aromas. Smell is a key component in evaluating a coffee.
I always learn you listen to your first reaction, your first sense about the coffee. You'll hit a bunch, you'll catch some different fragrances, like some of them I'm catching more of a tangerine, candy-like citrus aroma, and then other ones I'm catching more of a caramel and a darker berry. And so you have to cup them, and you have to mark them. Oh wow.
Coffees are scored on a 100-point system, much like wine, and anything over 90 is considered exceptional.
Okay, so we just cupped the coffees and now we get to flip the cards over. the big moment.
The coffee I gravitate toward has a very sweet play toward dark cherry fruit, and as it turns out, this is from my favorite micro lot.
Okay, so it's interesting because we did a blind cupping of the different micro lots, and the one that I picked in a blind cupping was the one where we were really, really high up, the highest one where you could see the volcano. It's fascinating to drink this because I'm basically drinking, 3 generations of farming with his family, and there's so much care and passion in the coffee.
Grown in the shadows of these mighty volcanoes, the coffees of Guatemala have led me to this treasured country, and honestly speaking, it has captured my heart more than any other place in the world. I have never experienced one place with such a diversity of climates, rich history and traditions, unparalleled sunsets, and some of the best food I've ever had. And that's all on top of what I would consider to be one of the world's most remarkable coffees.